and left.
New York.
New York City's the place where they said he'd be.
Says he was the closest thing New York had to a Dirty Harry.
532.
No good deed ever goes unpunished.
That FBI agent guy, somebody told me he's got your phones tapped.
The kind of old-fashioned cop who preferred working the streets and making arrests to taking tests toward promotion.
You're assigned to a vandalism case that happened.
All points bulletin for the Bo Deedle Show on the Gas Digital Network. Here's your host, Bo Deedle.
Welcome to One Tough Podcast. Well, I'm joined here like always with my man Carlo, our producer. Today we have a guy that I know a lot of years. He's a comedian, he's a writer, he's a career friggin' dentist. You can fix my teeth later. My friend, and I'm very excited about him, Jeffrey Gurian, who I know for a lot of years. We used to hang out at the old Columbus Cafe. What was that bar? That place went into the basement.
Are you talking about what?
Michael Barrett owned it. What's the name of that fucking...
Cafe Central?
No, down in the basement there.
Well, Columbus Cafe had a staircase that went down in the basement.
Yeah, went down in the basement to Pulley Herman's office to do some cocaine. But other than that, no. What was the name of that place on Broadway?
I'm not sure what place you mean.
Well, we'll remember.
Columbus Cafe was the most amazing place that Manhattan ever had. There's never been a place like it.
Michael Barrett owned the other one.
Oh, really? And people used to hang out there? Are you saying that it was in competition with Columbus?
Bigger.
Really?
It was a dance club. I'll remember it as we go along because at my age...
I was at every club in the city. I must have known
It'll kick in. All right. So you're still doing cosmetic dentistry?
No, I gave that up a long time ago. The last thing I did was I taught at NYU. I was a professor. I was a clinical professor in oral medicine and orofacial pain. But the whole time I was in comedy. I've been in comedy for decades. You know, while I was in practice, I was writing for Rodney Dangerfield and Joan Rivers and the Friars Roast. Wow. I was the main writer for the Friars Roast for 12 years.
And a lot of other things people don't know about you. And you're also an author, and it's your fifth book, the newest book, Just for Laughs in Montreal Film Festival. You won number 5. And what it is all about is, what does it talk about? What is this book? You made 5 books.
5 books. The other 4 books were really comedy books. They were compilations. Like I did the book on the comic strip, The History of the Club, where Jerry Seinfeld started and Eddie Murphy started, and Chris Rock wrote the introduction for me. And it was an amazing book. But this book...
Wait a second.
Yeah.
You used to go to Catch a Rising Star too?
Rick Newman's place, of course.
Ricky? What's that guy that died? I used to do cocaine on the bar with him when I was a cop. What was
the guy
his name?
that died?
The famous comedian.
It could have...
Come on.
So many,
no.
Who
the
do you
famous comedian from Catch a Rising Star. He died not too long ago. Young age. Come on there, Carlo.
Jeez, I'm trying to think. Who the
One of the most famous comedians. Come on, guys.
And he died of a drug overdose?
He died, I think, of a heart attack. Yeah.
I should know who that is.
Well, that'll kick in, too. You notice...
Richard Belzer was always the opening act for Rick Newman. In every club he opened, Belzer was the first guy on the stage. And, you know, Rick opened that club at the end of 72. The first club in Manhattan was Bud Friedman's club, the Improv, and he opened that in 63. There had never been a comedy club in Manhattan before. Comics used to work hotels.
Pat Benatar was there.
Well, Rick used to handle Pat Benatar.
Pat Benatar started at Catch a Rising Star. Oh, man, when I say the name, you guys are going to fall off your chair, but it'll kick in. You know, and when you become a little older, all those years of drinking start to develop a defuncation of your fucking brainal waves.
Now, that's
and it's
a good
hard
word.
to remember.
Defuncation.
Yeah, but
that's a Bo Deedle word.
You're from the Bronx originally?
I'm originally from the Bronx. Yeah,
I'm from the Bronx, too.
Near the Concourse area, near Tremont Avenue. And in those days, it was really nice. In those days, if you came from the Concourse, man, you had it made. Yeah, exactly. People wouldn't believe that it was such a nice neighborhood. Now you need a fucking tank to go in there.
No, my daughter teaches up there, up in the South Bronx on 150th off the Grand Concord, the Dunbar School. And there's so many shootings around there today. And I tell you what, you're right, because it used to be years ago, it was all Jewish people on the Grand Concourse, classy people, worked hard, successful people. Now all of a sudden you need a 9mm to go up there, right?
Exactly. If
the
you're
architecture
lucky,
is
you need
beautiful.
2 of them.
Even if you look at those apartments, some of them have sunken living rooms and really nice lobbies.
That's what we had, and rent was about $60 a month. And I used to ask my dad, how come we don't live in Manhattan? He'd be like, well, Manhattan, the rents are like $90 a month.
Let's talk a little bit about this thing you just did in Montreal. and who you interviewed over there.
Okay, cool. Well, it's the Just for Laughs Festival. It's the biggest comedy festival in the world, and I've been going for more than 25 years. As a matter of fact, last year I brought my VIP pass from 1992.
Wow.
And they were shocked that it was in such good condition. I go every year, and I have a channel called Comedy Matters TV on YouTube. And it's coming up on 2 million views. I have interviews with everybody: Jimmy Fallon, Chelsea Handler, Jim Carrey, Jon Stewart. Every big comedian is on my channel. Chris Rock, Jerry Seinfeld. And so I went up there to cover the red carpet. They have an award ceremony every year. It's called the Just for Laughs Awards. This year, Tiffany Haddish won for the Comedy Person of the Year. You know, she just blew up in Girls Trip with Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
And she's got...
great actress, yeah.
She's on The Last OG with Tracy Morgan. And she's just doing amazing stuff. So she's an old friend of mine. And I went...
Boop, 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 boop. Wait a second. Signal coming into the little brain of Bo.
Go ahead.
Mork and Mindy. Who was the actor?
Robin
Williams.
Robin
that's who you
Williams,
were
The Catch
thinking
the
of,
Rise and
who
stuff.
passed away.
Yeah, Robin and I, when I was a young detective, I used to be a long hair guy, and I used to go up there and I would drink with Ricky Newman, Pat Benatar was up there, and we had great times at the bar. I don't know how I got up some mornings. We'd be out to 3, 4 in the morning. We'd hit the Adam's Apple, Mr. Laughs.
Adam's Apple,
Well,
yeah,
Felix
exactly.
was like my second father. Felix Dion, the old Jewish guy that did 5 years in Auschwitz. He used to wear the medal to the disco, and we became best of friends. And he was actually the godfather of one of my children, and we used to jump up to Catch a Rising Star, Mr. Laughs,
Catch a Rising Star was on First Avenue in those days.
Tittle
like
Tattle,
77th
remember
Street.
Tittle
Sure.
Tattle? Yeah.
That's a familiar name to me.
Yeah, but going back to Montreal, so this is a cool little festival.
It's the biggest festival in the world. It goes on for a month. The first 2 weeks are in French, the last 2 weeks are in English. And I interviewed everybody. Howie Mandel just bought a big part of the festival. He's an owner of the festival.
I like Howie.
So I interviewed Howie, and I interviewed Lil Rel, who's getting his own show on Fox, and Joe Coy, who won for the Breakout Comedy Star of the Year. And it was on. And Kevin Hart came to present the award to Tiffany Haddish. And I got amazing interviews with everybody. Everybody came over to talk to me because they know me, because they're friends, and I'm on the red carpet every year. So I got amazing interviews with everybody.
I know as an interviewer, I'm an interviewer. Is it right to ask a person's age? How old are you?
Never. I never ask. You know what? I don't own an age. And
So
I
in other
don't
words,
say
you don't
that
want
to
to
be a
fucking
dick.
answer.
No, I never answer.
You got a lot of fucking hair.
But you know why? Let me tell you why.
Yeah,
and
why?
it's not just because I want to be a dick about it. Because once you own an age, that's who you are. And people put you in a category. And I don't fall into a category. So I don't own
Now,
that.
wait a second. That's not right. That's not true. I always tell everybody my age. I meet a chick or something on the street. Oh, how old are you? And I tell them my age. You know what? I'm proud of one thing. I made it through. What was that song by
You survived.
Barry Manilow? Barry Manilow.
Oh, I thought you were
made
gonna
it
say,
through.
I survived.
Yeah. Well, no, I will survive.
Like Gloria Gaynor. I will survive.
My point is that you've got to be proud of the foundation that you left. The fact of the matter is we're all getting old. And when your obituary comes out, you don't want to tell me your fucking age. That's fine. When you fucking die, your obituary come out. Can't lie in your obituary.
That's true, but then I won't mind anymore.
Okay, we won't talk about your age, but being a dentist, constructive surgeon, my police career, I never killed nobody. I locked up thousands of guys and shit. A lot of fighting during the 70s and 80s. Guys pulling guns. I got stabbed.
Yeah, I know. You
All
got
that
hurt.
crap.
You got beaten.
I used to knock out guys' teeth pretty readily.
Yeah.
At one point, and it's a pretty ghoulish thing, but I used to pick the teeth off the ground. I had a bag of teeth once I was saving.
Really?
Then I said to myself, this is not a very good fucking thing to do, have a bag of teeth, because people are going to think you're a fucking ghoulbo. And imagine going before today, civilian complaint review board, Detective Deedle, is it not true that you have a bag of fucking teeth in your house? And I wasn't a dental surgeon, but I used to knock them out painlessly, and before they knew it...
Painlessly?
I don't know. They would fly right out. I tell
You know how hard you got to hit somebody to knock out teeth, man?
Well,
You got some punch.
Well, they wanted to take my fucking wisdom teeth out. I still got them rolling in the wrong way. I hate the dentist. I hate
Everybody
If you
hates
want
the
to
dentist.
torture me, take that fucking drill out. I want them to give me laughing gas. You want to shoot main heroin into my... I don't care. I hate the fucking dentist.
Everybody does. And you know what? And it happens from when you're a child, not as an adult. There used to be a lot of dentists that had no business working on children. And most kids, when they went to the dentist, had a horrible experience, including me. And I changed all that. I had like a painless practice. I was a cosmetic specialist. So I was one of the first people to do cosmetic bonding. And I used to make people look beautiful. And that was my thing.
But the whole thing is with the dentist, because you're a dentist, you could work on teeth and all that shit. You know what I like? I want a dentist that's going to fucking knock me out. Do whatever the fuck you got to do. Wake me up and have it over, okay? Very, very simple.
They have people that do
drilling
that.
sound. This guy was working, a female dentist was working on me. I go to Jonathan Levine, very good
I know him very well.
Fifth Avenue, great dentist.
Very well.
He was away on vacation, and there's another female dentist. They have great dentists, but for some reason, underneath the gold, I got gold filling. You can't read it through the friggin'
The
X-ray.
Yeah.
So it decayed on it, and the tooth fell apart. Oh, I do it. They said root canal. I said no. And I did the CT. No root canal necessary, but it was a lot of drill. 2 fucking hours of drilling.
Yeah, it's
I
crazy,
mean, they should have
right?
used dynamite or some shit because they were, and I didn't like that. From age of 12, you wanted to be a dentist at fucking 12.
Isn't that weird?
What are you, a
Yeah, isn't
sadistic
that weird?
kid?
I don't know. You know what it was? I wanted to be a doctor. I knew I wanted to do something to help people, and I knew I was too sensitive to be a physician because I couldn't handle life and death, and I knew that at that point in my life. And I'm like, what kind of doctor could I be? And I was going to an orthodontist at the time, and so I originally thought I wanted to be an orthodontist to straighten people's teeth. But when I got to dental school, I realized it takes too long to see the results. And I liked cosmetic dentistry because it was brand new in those days. And I was one of the first people to do bonding, cosmetic bonding. And I used to lecture on it. I used to go around for these big companies. I would be a representative, and I would lecture at dental conferences on cosmetic bonding and how to make people's teeth look beautiful.
Did you make fun of fucking people's teeth because you're a comedian?
Never.
Did you say you look like you were chewing on a fucking hand grenade? You say anything
I
like
never
that?
mixed the two things. My patients
Oh.
used to say, "Are you sure you're in comedy? You're so serious." Because I never wanted people to think that I didn't take my work seriously. I had pictures on my wall.
I'd hate a dentist joking about me. Yeah, Bo, I'm gonna drill deeper than a fucking gold mine on your tooth.
Exactly. I don't like doctors that tell jokes. That
I'll never
fuck around,
forget.
man.
I had a little hemorrhoidal problem a few years ago. I go up to Steinhandler, real German. Right away, the name, big German guy. His hands look like fucking meat hooks, right?
Yeah.
So he goes, he's going to examine me. So all of a sudden, next thing, I thought he's examining me. One girl, he calls in, holding one arm, the other one holding the other. And he goes in there. I thought he fucking threw a fucking Mexican gardener up my ass with a rake. He's ripping into my ass. He does it. He rubber band. He don't tell me a fucking thing that he's gonna rubber band my hemorrhoid. He twists it up. And I'm, Next thing is I go. If he goes, oh, you're supposed to be one tough cop. I said, how about you let me go up your ass with a fucking rake and see how it feels. They surprise attacked me. And you know what? And he thought it was a joke. I said, I don't think it's a fucking joke because I'll lay you out. It hurt.
Yeah,
and that
of
was
course
it.
He didn't even take you out to dinner first.
No, he
The
didn't
nerve
kiss
of
me
him.
either. But
nerve.
I tell you, one of your quotes from your book's really funny. You say, you cannot change the past. The only thing you can change is your perspective of your past.
Right.
What the fuck does that mean, baby?
Well, first of all, you asked me about my book, and I
Yeah.
didn't get a chance to talk about it. It's got a very serious name. It's called Healing Your Heart by Changing Your Mind, a spiritual and humorous approach to achieving happiness. My goal, whether it was with cosmetic dentistry or comedy, has always been to put positive energy out to the universe. One of my stories, which is very pertinent, is I was a very severe stutterer until I was in my 20s and even in 30s. I stuttered so badly I couldn't even say my name. I could never say Gurian. And
Gurian, why can't you
stutterers-
fucking pronounce it? Gurian.
No,
it's a
but
very simple last name.
because
Gurian.
a hard G, a hard D. Certain letters are very hard for stutterers. And I stuttered so badly, as I said, I couldn't say my name. When I was in college, I ran for president of the freshman class at Hunter College. And I couldn't introduce myself, so I had other kids as my campaign managers, and they'd introduce me to kids I didn't know to vote for me. And I told myself if I could win the election, I wouldn't have to stutter anymore because it would show me that people liked me. I had the feeling that it had something to do with how I felt about myself. One day I realized that I didn't stutter when I was alone. A lot of stutterers can speak perfectly when they're in a room by themselves. As soon as they try to talk to somebody else, they start to stutter.
Or some people could sing but can't talk without a stutter,
Exactly.
right?
Well, they can sing without stuttering.
Right.
But as soon as they try to talk, they stutter. So what that told me was that there's really nothing wrong with me. You can't have a disability based on your location. If a man has a limp, he limps in every room of his house. He can't close the door and suddenly walk perfectly, right?
Yeah.
But if I could speak perfectly when I'm alone, it means there's really nothing wrong with me. So I worked on myself for years. I was determined because my parents took me to speech therapy, and nobody was able to help me.
Yeah.
And I was determined I'm not going to go through my whole life as a stutterer because it's a horrible disability to have. So I worked on myself for years, literally years. I took my mind apart and I examined my thoughts. And I realized that some of my thoughts are not valid. Each of us is holding thoughts that are not valid. Many of them are negative about ourselves, and they were given to us by strangers. If you were a kid and you were bullied, people made fun of you in some way. And anytime anyone ever hurt your feelings or broke a promise to you, those things are still inside of you. And
but see, how did I combat that?
I call them heart wounds.
Yeah, but I combat that. I was always a small structure. I had to sleep on the fucking floor to become a cop, 5'8". I had to sleep on the floor because I just wasn't 5'8". I was like 5'7.5". Today, there's no height requirement on the police
Right, you
department.
see cops that
They're
are 5'2". Yeah, exactly.
5'2", that's a big one.
Yeah.
Make a long story short, everyone picked on me. So I was a little guy, but I hated fucking bullies. So I used to go, and when someone would pick on someone else, I'd get in the middle of it.
You
That's
would
why I
stick up
think
for them, right?
And I would love to fucking fight. I loved to fight. And that was part of my life, protecting people. Then I became a fucking cop, and I like this shit of helping people. And you want to know something? You combat whatever disability you have. You learn one thing, like my brother, my oldest brother, they had to go in there, they did a colonoscopy, they took too much, they can't reverse it. He has a problem with the bag thing, he has to wear the bag. So he gets depressed about it. And then and then my other friend, Mike Cervola, my partner, his son broke his neck in a diving accident, 21 years old. That was 25 years ago. His son is living with it. Do they quit? You got to understand, this is as best as it's going to get, and you got to learn to live with it. Or in your case, you were able to correct what you had by understanding. But some people can't correct being paralyzed. Some people can't correct if you can't reverse an operation.
Right.
But one thing you got to learn about in life is you've got to learn to live with what you got and live your life the best of what you got. Because if you keep worrying about it and complaining about it, you're not going to have a happy life.
And you know what that's called? What you just said?
What's it called?
It's called acceptance. Acceptance, and there's a prayer, and it's called the Serenity Prayer. And I don't know if you ever heard it.
Yeah,
but
I hear
it's
from
called
my partner Mike.
Grant me the serenity.
He's an AA. He's an AA.
They use it there too, but this is grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the most important line is, and the wisdom to know the difference. If you have an operation that you can't change, or if you are paralyzed and you can't change that, you must accept that, as you said, or it'll drive you crazy. But I was given the grace to figure out that I could change my stuttering. And I worked on it for many years. And just the way that you were bullied, you remember that as if it was yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
You can remember that.
Nobody fucking bullies
But
me.
you know that thing that they tell you when you're a kid, sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never harm you? That's total bullshit, because all the bruises you got as a kid healed up a long time ago. But every one
some of them didn't.
Every one of us can remember something that someone said that hurt our feelings, and it feels like it was just yesterday. And those are the things we carry with us. And what this book is about is how to release those things so that you can go on to lead a happy life.
What's the name of this book?
Healing Your Heart by Changing Your Mind, a spiritual and humorous approach to achieving happiness.
And where
you
do
see
we
that
get it?
meditating dog
Where do we
on the
buy
front?
it?
On Amazon.
All right,
Amazon or
buy
Barnes
me
and
that
Noble.
book. I want to fucking read it, okay? And I want, Mike Cervola, I want to buy him one too. My partner's the AA guy, right?
That would be awesome. Well, he would love this. I have
Yeah,
reviews
but
from
sometimes
people
I tell
in recovery.
him, sometimes I tell him, Mike, have a fucking drink already. Because you know what happens? When you go through that AA, you become very regimentated. And everything is like, every day is exactly the same. But you know what?
But people
really
need that. Addicts and
Some people
alcoholics.
do
I
need
work
it.
with them. They need structure.
Right now, I feel like having a
Because
fucking drink.
Addicts and
only
alcoholics
kidding.
have no structure in their lives.
Yeah.
And some people can drink and do great. Some people are just heavy drinkers.
You
Not
drink?
every heavy drinker. No, I happen not to drink because I do healing work. So I don't do anything.
I mean, if
because
right
it
now, if I
interferes with
come
my
out with
energy.
a bottle of Tiganola, you wouldn't have a glass of wine
I'd
with
feel
me?
really bad. No, I would tell you that my parents are very strict and they don't let me drink.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. Now, I noticed one thing about you.
Go ahead.
You had a career, you wrote material for Rodney Dangerfield, Joan Rivers, Jerry Lewis, Gilbert Gottfried. Now I know where I fucking know you again. And you're a member of the Friars, are you not?
Absolutely. For me.
I've been a Friar since...
Milton Berle was my sponsor in the Friars Club.
I'll never
How's that for
forget,
an honor?
Joey Adams was alive. Rodney Dangerfield. When I first joined in 1990, Caroline Hirsch got me from Caroline's
Sure, Caroline,
Comedy Club.
yeah, is a
And
dear
all I
friend.
remember was going into the dining room. These two guys would have a competition farting between Milton Berle and Joey Adams. There would be. I walked by there was a fucking machine gun. Ba, 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 ba. They were farting at each other. But I tell you what, to be around these old geniuses of comedy as a young kid, I was not young, but it was so exciting.
Right?
Yeah,
wasn't that amazing?
Yeah.
The fact that Milton Berle was my sponsor in the
China
Friars
Club.
China Club. Danny.
Okay, China Club.
Yeah.
That was the
amazing.
joint I couldn't remember 15 minutes
Oh, that
ago.
was it? Oh, well, that was owned by Danny. What's his name? I can't remember.
Danny
his
was
name.
an owner, but also Michael Barrett.
That's where I knew the name from.
Come on,
China
baby.
Club was
and you
amazing.
don't even drink, and I
Right.
fucking drink, and I got it.
Right next to the Beacon Theater on
Right.
75th Street and Broadway. That
The
was
last
an
time,
amazing place.
one of the last times I was there, I'll never forget. I had this guy, this actor guy, he was going to play me in a TV series for CBS. Not Michael Rooker, it was another guy, Colvin. And we're going down the stairs of the China Club. All of a sudden I hear bang, 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 shots being fired. So I throw him out of the way. Now this guy comes running past with a gun in his hand. So I say, stay here. So I jump and I'm running along behind a parked car for cover. As the guy's running, I says, freeze you motherfucker. You know, like that. And the guy's there like this, puts his hands up. And next thing is he takes the gun, he throws it under the car. I put my gun on his fucking head, and as he's trying to get up, I smack him and knock his front teeth out. He would have need you. I knocked his two front teeth out with the side of the gun. I didn't know if he still had a gun or not. So the cops come running over. I said, here's my car. I'm a retired detective. He just threw this gun under the car. It's right there, the gun. I witnessed everything. Call me up. I never heard a fucking word from this case. These cops never called me. Next thing is I'm sitting up at my Rayos table. This big guy comes in. I didn't recognize him. He was the son of a guy from Upper Westchester. A guy, you know.
A guy.
And he goes in, he's holding his mouth, and he goes like this. He goes, my father told me to come up here and say thank you for not shooting me. And I look at him, his teeth were knocked out. And he goes, did you have to knock out my fucking teeth? I didn't shoot the fucking guy. I mean, I ran out my teeth knocked out to get shot. But it was just so funny. The guy's father knew me, and I knew a lot of the guys. And they said, you better go up there and say thank you for Bo not shooting me. I don't shoot no fucking body. And the point I'm trying to get at is right now, is life just touches upon everything. Friars Club is a great place. We lost our Jerry Lewis. I was there with DiCaprio.
I wrote for Jerry Lewis when he was roasted for the
So
Friars.
how did you get into that?
Friars
So
Club.
we talked a little bit about your dental career and how you overcame your stutter. So what led you to comedy? How do you meet all these people? How did a dentist wind up in company?
I was
of all these
writing
people?
comedy ever since I was 12 years old, but how I got into it is a crazy story. I was driving a pimp mobile in those days. I had met this pimp from Maryland, and I was very impressed with his lifestyle. And he was driving one of these big Eldorados. If you remember in those days, in the 70s, all the pimps in New York had these amazing customized cars. And I bought one. It was my first car that I bought for myself. It was a Mandarin Orange Eldorado that had been made for one of the Isley brothers.
Oh, my favorite group.
And I bought that car. I went to Dick Gidron Cadillac in the Bronx, and I bought this car, and I put a Rolls Royce grill on it, and I pimped it out
that
way
is a
before
pimp deal.
MTV did Pimp My Ride. It had the big white wall tires and the straps in the back, and it had doctor's plates on it. And wherever I drove, cops would check me out.
You were
and
a
hookers would
fucking
check me out.
target for a robbery.
Probably.
I tell you what, if I had my gang, we would have taken your ass out. I would have robbed your ass.
Probably.
I'm only kidding.
And my wife is like, we're Jewish and we live in Scarsdale. Why am I driving an orange Cadillac? And I'm like, you don't get it. Obviously, you don't get it. And I was licensed to carry guns in those days. And I was driving.
Did you have a carry permit?
Oh, yeah. I was licensed because I was
New
a
York
doctor.
City?
New York City carry
that was a-
permit.
that
I
was
used
a tough one to
It
get.
was a tough one to get, but I was a member of a gun club in Mount Vernon, all Italian guys and me, and it was perfect. And so they sponsored me, and I got a gun permit.
Wow.
And I had a Walther PPKS and a Beretta that I
They
used to carry on my
they
ankle.
fucking jammed those
Yeah, well, I liked it
Walthers.
because James Bond used to carry that.
That's
And
why
I-
you bought
and I
it.
had a custom, and I had a custom shoulder rig that
Cool.
a cop made for me. It was amazing.
Cool.
And so anyway, So I was making films at the time, and I was making films on the street, and they were crazy films. Like several men were arrested for smearing cream cheese on the ankles of elderly women who wore their stockings rolled down like bagels. You ever see the old women with the stockings rolled down around their...
These
Looks like fucking bagels to
Some
me.
of my fucking Italian relatives were like that. So
Well, so do the Jewish women.
Okay.
So I got my dear grandmother, who was so kind. She let me put cream cheese on her ankles, and she rolled down her stockings.
So you did a video on it.
I did a video. She made believe she had a Jewish accent. And she said, you know, we have two kind of stockings, one for milk and one for meat. She goes, and this crazy man, he smeared cream cheese on my meat stockings and I can't get it off. And I filmed this, and she said, Jeffrey, only for you would I do this. And I said, Nana, thank you so much. Nana Faye. And so I made a lot of crazy
Jewish
films.
had nanas? Because the Italian had nanas
Oh,
too.
did they? Yeah, Jews had nanas. Yeah, Nana Faye and Nana Kitty were my two grandmothers. And then I had things about crimes. The masters of disguise were two master criminals who disguised themselves as inanimate objects. So it started out with two men disguised as coats rob a hat store. They come in over the arms of two other men, and they say, just act natural like we're your coats, and nobody will get hurt. And the police draw composite drawings of the perpetrators, and it's two fucking coats. One man is described, as a tan trench coat. The other guy is a black overcoat, right? So I make these films, and I say, I got it. Yeah, I said I got to get these to Saturday Night Live because Saturday Night Live just started.
Yeah.
So I pull up in front of 30 Rock with this Mandarin orange pimpmobile, and when you pull up in a car like that, everybody notices, right? And I had a CB radio that was in the shape of a telephone. In those days, there was no car phones. There was no cell phones, right?
First phone that came out I had was this fucking big.
That big.
And you had to
carry it in a case.
And you had the kicker in the trunk.
So I pull up to 30 Rock, and in those days, there was no terrorists. You could pull right up to the door. And I throw the doorman a few bucks, and I said, watch my car. Lorne Michaels is expecting me. Lorne Michaels never heard of me in his life.
But
right?
with that fucking car, you played the game.
Exactly. I pull up, and they had no reason to doubt me. And I go in, and I sneak past the security guards, because you could do that in those days.
Yeah.
And I go up to the 17th floor, and I get out of the elevator, and Alan Zweibel, who was a head writer on the show at the time, who was going on to become a very famous writer, producer, director.
Yeah.
He's playing handball on the wall with a guy named Neil Levy, who is Lorne Michaels' cousin. And I show him, I introduce myself, and I tell him I make these films, and he's looking at the films, and he goes, I never saw anything like this. He calls his manager, David Jonas, who was managing Freddie Prinze at the time. Oh. David Jonas just passed away a couple of years ago at 100 years old. And he got me started writing comedy. It took me a year to learn how to write a joke because I was writing cream cheese on the ankles. I was thinking of crazy
And how old
sketches.
were you then? How old were you then?
I was 21, 22.
And that was what year?
Nobody knows. Fuck you.
You're good.
You're trying to trick me.
Good.
I'm smart. I'm a fucking doctor. You think you're going to take advantage of me?
But that was fucking good. You caught it. Because I was going to nail your fucking ears.
You can't get over
Remember
on me.
interrogations
I went to
my
fucking
way.
dental school. You kidding me? I'm a smart dude. So anyway, and I got to meet all these people, and that's how I got started writing comedy.
Wow.
For people like Dick Capri, the guys who used to do Catskills on Broadway. He still performs. He's in Florida.
Freddie Roman.
And then he was one of the early comedians that I wrote for. And then I got to meet Rodney Dangerfield through Dick Capri. Mm-hmm. And he was the first big star I ever wrote for. And he started doing my stuff on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And that's how my name got around. Because when you write for a big star like that, people hear about you. And so Milton Berle, as I said, was my sponsor in the Friars Club. And as you know, he was known for having the biggest schlong in show business.
I never saw his dick.
He showed it to me.
In the bathroom, they have a sign up, something like that.
Yeah,
right?
he showed it to me. And not because I asked.
No, how big was Milton Berle's dick?
I thought a fucking snake got loose. we were in the L.A. Friars Club.
Yeah,
and
the only thing I didn't like about the Friars Club, they used to put ice in the urinals, and it used to be so cold, so fucking cold.
When your dick would touch that ice, right? Yeah, that was. I know. So Milton used to had a contest with Forrest Tucker on who was the biggest.
Forrest Tucker.
You remember that actor, Forrest Tucker? He was also known for being well endowed.
F Troop.
And Berle said, you know what? I'll take out just enough to win.
Wow. Yeah, I tell you, that was a whole generation of some of the finest comics.
Those guys were
And
amazing.
the thing I don't like is I don't like political correctness that's come into play now.
It's horrible.
And you gotta watch. That's why I love doing a podcast. We can
Yeah,
say
you
any
can say
fucking thing we
anything you
want.
want, yeah.
And I'm not running for fucking mayor today or ever again in my life
Yeah, 'cause
or
they
anything
would
else.
use this against
oh,
you.
they started to pull stuff where I used to do Imus for 33 years, and we were a comedy show in the morning, make people laugh. Oh, you said this. And you use an ethic thing. I don't care. You want to call me spaghetti meatball head, whatever it is. We got to just relax.
You know why?
with
Because
this
you're a sane human being, and these days there is a
Remember
segment.
Buddy Hackett?
Of course, I knew Buddy Hackett very well. I got pictures with Buddy Hackett. His son asked if he could use Sandy Hackett was doing a show about all those guys from a show in Las Vegas about the Rat Pack.
Well, I knew I've been out to dinner many times with Mr. Sinatra and Dean Martin. I met towards the end in 1985. He used to drink at the La Familia restaurant in Cannon, but he used to drink himself to an oblivion, never ate. His son had gotten killed, Ricky Jr.
In a plane crash.
After that,
that's what ruined him.
All he did was drink himself every night. I ran into him. I was out there. I was doing a meeting with, I think, Ridley Scott on a movie project about my career in the police department. And I'm waiting at the bar, and the bartender was a guy from New York. I said, I'm a former New York homicide detective. I look around, the place was empty. One guy sitting in the back. I said, is that who I think it is, Mr. D. Martin? He goes, yeah. I says, you think I could say hello to him? He goes, I think he would like you to say hello to him. I walk over, I said, excuse me, Mr. Martin. My name's Bo Dietl. I'm a retired New York City detective. I'm out here for movie business. I'm meeting Mr. Scott. I met Mr. Sinatra. I've been out to dinner with him. I always want to meet you. I said, may I shake your hand? Sit the fuck down. Give Bo one of those martinis. Every time I went to California, I made sure I stopped in there and drank with Mr. Dean Martin. The only guy I didn't meet of the Rat Pack was Mr. Sammy Davis Jr., which I would love to have met.
I got pictures with Sammy Davis Jr. on my wall. I got a wall of pictures that is unbelievable. Yeah. When I did the comic strip.
Yeah, but you were one of those fucking guys with the cameras. But my problem was, who the fuck is going to say, we didn't have cell phone, Mr. Sinatra, I'd like a picture with you. No, you didn't. That was Dickie. You couldn't ask for a picture with Mr. Frank Sinatra or Mr. D. Martin.
Well, in those days, people didn't have that. But when I was at the Friars, that's where I met Sammy Davis, Milton Berle.
You always had a camera there. Yeah, everybody had
Other people had cameras, and they took pictures, and they sent them to me. And I got a collection of pictures that is unbelievable.
It was the greatest. So now we really starting to know how fucking old he really is. From just what he said. When we run the tape later, we'll start doing some fact checking. We'll get your ass. Don't worry. I'll know how old you are.
Why is that important to you, by the way?
Well, listen to me.
Why do you care about that?
Jeffrey.
Because I don't care how old you are.
I don't give a fuck either. But Jeffrey, listen, seriously.
Yeah.
You look like that fucking guy that Pacino played in California. The thing that whacked his old lady.
Phil Spector.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's part of my act. That's part of my act. I say if Phil Spector fucked Elton John.
What is the secret of all this fucking hair? Did you get fucking shotgun plugs? What the fuck is up with this?
I'm lucky that I didn't lose all my hair.
You could pull a fucking battleship with all that hair.
It's part of my brand. Everyone thinks I'm in the music business. Well, that's why I wanted to be in vinyl, by the way. That was a great fucking show.
You should have been in there. And if I had anything to do with it, I would have said, Marty, you got a fucking cap. You wouldn't even have to do your hair.
I know. Everybody said to me I was perfect for it.
Vinyl, you would have been great as one of the record executives.
Ray Romano's manager, Rory Rosegarten, was going to try to get me in if there was a second season because Rory's an old friend.
You know the story what happened with that?
No.
So they set it out against Walking Dead. And like I say, 14,000 fucking psychopaths on Sunday night watch this moronic...
14 million, you mean?
14 million. Yeah. Watch this moronic fucking show that I can't stand. I mean, the guy fucking bites you, but then they're coming at him, but yet they don't come at him. And enough for fucking ready. Yeah, I hate moronic shit. Thing. That's a moronic fucking TV show. All the morons that watch it every Sunday fucking night are morons. Make a long story short, comes a beautiful series called Vinyl about the 1970s rock and roll. Really good shit.
Cannavale was amazing.
Directed by the greatest director in the world, Marty Scorsese. And we had the first series in the can. They gave the green light, and I think his name was Lombardi. He worked for HBO. He was the number 2 guy under Plepler. Richard Plepler is the head of HBO.
Plepler, yeah, it's a crazy name,
Well,
right? Plepler,
yeah, he's the head still. I know Mr. Plepler. I gotta call him Mr. because he's pretty heavy.
Well, you're very respectful.
But
I like
Lombardi was the number 2 guy. I heard from a little birdie because of this fuck up, he was fired from HBO when he released Final. They spent for the pilot alone, I think $28 million for the fucking pilot. Then they did the whole series, of course, up near $80 million. Then they shit canned. Now they were greenlit the second season, and then all of a sudden they go and they're not going.
Yeah, what happened? Yeah, I heard that they greenlit
Bobby
the second
Cannavale
season.
was fabulous. He's one of the great
Fantastic.
actors.
Ray
He's
Romano
fantastic.
was great.
Oh, Ray Romano was
great
good.
Dramatic roles.
Everybody was good on that. You were great. You fucking killed Dice Clay.
No, but here's what I want to do, and Dice too. Dice wanted, and we talked to Marty, and we were talking to what was his name there? He's coming on our show.
Terry Winter.
Terry Winter, and I said, Terry, I said, I want to come back. I want to whack the fuck that whacked my Uncle Bo. You know, my character, whoever that was, right? So, and Joey, no, I'm Joey Glimko in the other one. When was I there? Joey, I always get a Joey for some reason. So
Joey Corso.
Joe Corso was my character there. I was the enforcer. You got a problem? You call fucking Joe Corso.
Yeah, right.
Perfect scenario.
Yeah. Typecasting.
But everything, they had the rock guys there, and they had Mick Jagger's son in it. Then they had that cute young lady, pretty
Juno
girl.
Temple.
Great, she was in that thing about Coney Island.
She's in the Coney Island movie.
With the
Killer
perverted
Joe.
director. What's his name?
Woody Allen.
Woody Pervert Allen. Yeah,
She's actually British. I didn't know that.
she's cute as a button. She was in it. She was really good. Mick Jagger's son. The music that Marty put in there. That would have been a great series to continue for a couple of seasons at least.
Every episode was like a movie because Scorsese directed it that way. Every single episode was amazing, and it should have never been taken off the air.
When we talk about great series, the reasons why I think they were great is that because they didn't have to be restricted language and all that. One of the greatest series, two of the great series, right in a row, Bing Bing. I got to be The Sopranos. Then the Boardwalk Empire to me
that
was
incredible.
phenomenal,
Empire,
phenomenal. And Terry Winter was involved with that. And then Scorsese and my friend, what was his name there? The guy was supposed to play me in One Tough Cop, Mark Wahlberg. He produced too. What a fucking talented guy!
Yeah, isn't he amazing?
I tell you, whenever I see him, I just smile like a kid because I love Mark Wahlberg. He was supposed to play me in One Tough Cop. Marty Bregman, God rest his soul, fires him at the last minute, and I have to pick between Matt Dillon and Stephen Baldwin. And Stallone was supposed to play me back in '86 when I first retired, and then I see Stallone in 4 seasons. And I say, Sly, hey, Bo, how the fuck you doing? I said, well, Marty fired Mark Wahlberg. And Marty says, pick between Matt Dillon and Stephen Baldwin.
So and they're two totally different. How do you
So here's what Stallone says
to
me. Going, oh, you know, Bo, Matt Dillon is like a broad that's been around, been fucked by everybody. The other guy's like a virgin. I'd go with the virgin. Hence, we went with Stephen Baldwin. He did a great job. But I tell you the truth, to this day, my friend Mark Wahlberg was very upset. He thought I had something to do with firing him. And this is in Rayos in 1995. You can put that picture up there. You can show it. That's me and Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, man. That's great. In 1995?
Yeah, show it up to the camera.
That is amazing. Can they see that?
I think the camera's over there.
Oh, the camera's over there. Okay. Look at that.
And that's Mark Wahlberg with
amazing.
Me. And that's in Rayos.
That is a great
he's
shot.
in his ear.
That's your place.
It is.
That's your place, Rayos.
There's Mark Wahlberg and me at Rayos. Look how young he was.
He was really young.
He was going to play Bo.
He looks like a child.
I wish he did. And to this day, he wanted that part bad. I had nothing to do with it, Mark. Marty Bregman fired you, not me.
That was still in his funky bunch.
Do you remember when Stephen Baldwin owned that restaurant on 13th Street? That was a hot place. He took over this restaurant on 13th and 5th. And I don't remember the name. I can't remember the name. It was a very popular place before, and then Stephen bought it. and it was a great hangout for
Well,
quite
look
a while.
at Steven. Hey, as a son-in-law, he's got that kid with all the tattoos.
Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber's marrying
right.
his daughter.
Haley Baldwin.
Oh, his daughter's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Let me tell you, so, you know who I do like too? A lot of people don't realize it. You know, we're to the opposite ends politically. I love Alex Baldwin too. Alec Baldwin and I look. You could like vanilla ice cream. I could like chocolate. I'm sick and tired of the fucking political correctness.
Yes.
I'm sick and tired of my Democrat liberal friends. Or you don't like Trump? He's the fucking president. Let him try to do something every turn, but he's got to stop with his fucking Twitter. We got to get things done in this country. Most important. Bring us back together.
There's too much hatred in the country. For the first time, I could understand how there was ever a civil war in this country. People fucking hate each other.
Let me tell you.
They hate each other.
And the other day, and Carlos wrote it for me, I made some perspectives as far as what's going on in Chicago. You had a President Obama that comes from Chicago. During his time in office, there was like 4,500 African Americans, some little kids, 7 years old, 5 years old, sitting on the porch getting shot in the fucking head. Nobody cared. Where is fucking Black Lives Matter in Chicago? This past weekend, we had 75 shot, I think 12 dead. Where is the fucking demonstrations? And there's an answer to it. In New York City, we had a big murder problem. They went after the gangs. You use federal RICO law, 3 or more involved in a criminal enterprise. You go get warrants. You get the guns off the street. You lock the motherfuckers up, man. Stop my black kids being killed in Chicago, and we can stop it. Fucking Rahm Emanuel should go commit fucking Harry Carey. Remember the Japanese used to do that?
Yeah.
He should fucking do that. You gotta
shame,
and I call upon President Trump, and I called upon him. He's got to get the feds in there where we set up these federal RICOs. You start putting undercovers in there. You start popping them. Before you know it, that murder rate will go down to nothing because there won't be any guns on the street and there won't be people killing people. But nobody cares. They're only black Americans. It is not an involvement with a questionable cop shooting. That's all they care about. But what about these children that are being gunned down in Chicago? I care about those kids. My last case was 10 dead, 8 children under the age of 12 shot in the fucking head. I don't want dead children. And damn it, this country has to get together and let's solve that problem instead of all the bullshit back and forth. We're all Americans, whether you're black, you're white, Hispanic, we're all Americans. We got to get together. I hate this fucking division. 1960, I remember the 60s. That's what we had. And we're going back to it now. Mm-hmm. And it's wrong. We're all Americans.
It's horrible. And you know what I wonder? Why can't they send in the Army or the National Guard and just get rid of these gangs?
Well, why? You know why?
Why can't they send in guys with fucking machine guns?
Because all my liberal fucking friends will say, "Oh wait, you can't stop and frisk him and take that gun away because you're infringing upon his civil rights." Lick my shave balls. That's what I say to them.
Exactly. Those people should have no rights.
All right. So anyway. Let's get more back to comedy.
Yeah. So tell me about your thing with Dice.
I have a question for you, actually.
Go ahead.
So being you were just at Montreal, there's a lot of comedians that are very excited to highlight their life to be there. It seems like comedy is getting very political nowadays, and there's even people that think that comedy shouldn't even be funny anymore.
Comedy has become very mean-spirited, and I'll tell you, and it's something that really bothers me. When I used to write for the Friars Roast, I would go up to the person being honored and I would say, is there anything that you're sensitive about that you don't want us to joke about, something that would hurt your feelings? Because I never wanted to write anything that would hurt somebody. Yeah. These days with roast battles, if you have cancer or your parents have cancer, they make a joke about that. If you had a sibling that died in an accident, they use that as the joke. To me, that's offensive. And people say, well, there should be no limits as to what you can joke about in comedy.
Yeah, but there's a limit.
I don't think that's funny.
But if there's a limit, if you use ethnic slurs now, I mean, there's
you can't say that. If you tell jokes now, and I'm a stand-up comic too, the audience will go, ooh, oh.
Right, but if you get a black comedian like Chris Rock and all that, they use the N-word
constantly.
To me, you know what? Honestly, I don't like the word. If it hurts somebody, I don't want to use it.
It's a horrible word.
But the only thing is comedy. You know, if you say something about, then you get the comedian, Kathleen, what was it,
Kathy Griffin.
I mean, look, I've seen too many beheadings. And I don't think it's a funny thing holding a fucking head up.
You've actually seen beheadings?
Wow. Oh, yeah, I've seen beheadings.
Wow. That's fucking...
Yeah.
How do you sleep at night?
I told you my last case was 10 dead, 8 children shot in the
That's
fucking
what I'm saying.
head.
How do you fucking sleep when you've seen shit like that?
I got this new My Pillow. I sleep
Yeah.
pretty fucking good.
But I'll tell you, comedy has gotten out of hand that way, and I find it very disturbing.
Yeah.
I look at comedy
wanna
as
laugh.
a healing force.
Yeah.
Comedy is
wait,
comedy
wait. You
brings
hit on
everybody
it.
together.
You know what?
When you can have an audience, Russell Peters, I
Yeah.
use as an example, or Lisa Lampanelli, the lovable queen of mean, makes fun of everybody, starting with herself, and
Love
then
her.
brings everybody together. Very dear friend of mine, as is Russell Peters. I was just with him. I call him the messiah of comedy. If you've ever been to one of his shows, people from every country are there, and they're laughing at themselves. He imitates every accent. These days, you imitate an accent, you get death threats.
You just hit on something right there. When laughter, even if you're sick or if you have something that's terminal, laughter makes things a little easier to go through.
I did shows at Sloan Kettering for
Yeah.
cancer patients. There's a whole thing. I'm on the board
Remember
of
when you
LaughMD.
made your bar mitzvah in 1941?
Yeah, no, 38 it was. Yeah, you fuck. He can't let it go. He's got to figure. That's a detective for you, right?
But I tell you, laughter really makes you feel good. It pops out some fucking endorphins. or some
Endorphins,
shit.
the pleasure chemical. That's right.
Yeah.
There's only three
Well,
ways to do
Working
that.
out does too. You do
Working out, chocolate and sex.
Working out, chocolate, and
Laughter.
sex. Laughter.
Hopefully
Laughter
all
does
at
that.
the same time.
Yeah. Eat chocolate, have sex, and what else?
And
work
laugh.
out.
And laugh while you're having sex.
Then
Yeah.
the chick will think
Yeah.
you're laughing at her.
At her, exactly.
Yeah.
No, but that's to me, that's the purpose of comedy as a healing force. It brings people together. There's nothing better than that. And you know what's interesting too? These days, you could have a show all Latino comedians. You could have a show all African American comedians. You could never advertise a show all white comedians.
Yeah, but
that would
now-
be ridiculous.
now I
no
just
one
heard-
could even say that.
I just heard this morning on CBS. Believe it or not, I watch CBS in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't watch Fox in the morning. I watch CBS. I like to watch a little of everything to know the perspective of what's going on. And they just mentioned that the Academy Awards now, because the black movie that made all the money, Black Panther, made something. They want another category, most popular movie for the year. You know what? I love that idea. That means like a movie that didn't win the Academy Award, but was a real
Was still a very popular
generator.
movie, yeah.
Everybody loved it. I like that, but it shouldn't be because they were mentioned about an ethnic one. Fuck the ethnic one. I like that classification, but any movie, if it's that, who was that jerk that looked at the box of chocolates?
Forrest Gump.
Forrest
Forrest
Gump.
Gump.
If Forrest Gump didn't win the Best Picture, Forrest Gump was a feel-good, great movie, and the people should vote for the most popular movie of the year. If it was to be Black Panther, which I saw, it was a good movie, a little over the top as far as. See, I don't like scientific horse shit. I hate stuff where guys are flying around doing tricks and shit. I like real stuff. I like real person. I like movies made about reality.
Reality,
Because
right.
because you could realize you
You
can
can
feel
relate
it.
to it. You
I
can
like when
relate to
guys
that.
get fucking shot in the fucking leg or shot in the stomach, and when he's looking at the camera and he says, "I'm not gonna make it, man. I'm dying.
I'm dying.
That's
I
real.
know. Yeah, that's.
And I've looked in a lot of guys' eyes while they were fucking dying with bullet wounds, and they look at me and I said, "Well, you're gonna fucking die. Tell me who shot you." And they'll tell me who shot. I say, "You're gonna die. This is your last words." And that statement
Wow.
of people that I've got out of them, their dying eyes. You ever watch a guy die in front of you? I've seen many of them. And that dying statement, that declaration, was enough to make a rest on his statement. And the thing is, to see someone leaving life, looking in their eyes, and have someone, my loved ones, I've seen that happen too. It's a remarkable thing. That's what I love. Get that on the movies. Let people see that because that's real.
Have you done a book?
I did 3 books.
You did 3 books. No, because I'm saying because your life is a movie and a book.
Oh.
I mean, what you've experienced. I want to say something about the comedy world, though. The comedy world is a place that's very inclusive. Everybody gets
Yes.
along, and that's a wonderful thing. It's one of the things that I love about comedy. No matter what your background is, all the comedians, they hug each other. Men and women and of every ethnic background.
And I love the Fries
and it's
Club.
amazing.
I had lunch at the Fries Club the other day. I had the chicken chop suey, chicken chow mein, whatever the fuck
Yeah,
they
they
call
have
it.
great food.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you something. To be in that house, the house of the of the comedians,
Of all the
mostly
great comedians.
the great comedians, is I'm very honored to be a friar and to be a friar member, and we've had a lot of good parties there, and we used to play poker upstairs. A lot of people that know Joey Pots and Pans, Mike the Russian, Shelley the Taylor, Joseph Abboud. We used to have poker games where we would have pots of $10,000. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars. We had a real gambling thing going up there. No more. You can't even have fun
it's
anymore.
changed. The Friars
have
has
fun
changed
anymore.
anyway. It's very different than it used to be. I'm grateful that I knew it in those days. The golden age of comedy.
It was.
To have met Henny Youngman and George Burns and Red Buttons. And,
Well, didn't you, with Henny Youngman, didn't you graduate grammar school with him?
Yeah, no, I was
Oh,
older
okay.
than him.
But again, let's talk about, we're going to wrap up, but let's talk about a couple of things. First of all, I got a lot of followers. I want to put this book, can you mention the book again?
that would be
I
so
want to put
nice.
this book
Yeah.
on our sites,
Yep.
on our Twitter, Facebookies, and all that bullshit we do.
That's very
But
nice.
it's very important because I think this could be a great book for people to read, to understand about what's within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And
Overcoming obstacles is very important, to learn how to overcome obstacles in your life. What's amazing, I got great reviews from psychiatrists, psychologists, people that own recovery centers. I got fantastic reviews. It's called Healing Your Heart by Changing Your Mind, a spiritual and humorous approach to achieving happiness. And I would just want to say, spiritual has nothing to do with religion, man.
No.
Because religion can be great, but it tends to divide people because it puts you in a category and other people are automatically outside of that category. Spirituality brings everybody together like comedy does, because all it asks is that you believe in a force greater than yourself. You could call it whatever you want, nature, the universe, God, whatever's comfortable for you, as long as you know that you're not ruling your own life, that there are forces outside that are greater than us. And that's a very important thing, and it gives you a sense of peace when you understand
I think
that.
spirituality is something great. It feels good in your life. And I think people should read this book. I'm going to read it. Maybe I could get more spiritual. But I do get spiritual. I don't go to church every Sunday. But when I want to pray, I pray directly to God.
That's it.
I don't have
it's
no.
not about going to church.
I
It's
don't
not
need-
about being in a building.
I don't need a go-between.
It's your connection.
Right.
It's the
And
connection
you could
from
pray
your heart.
directly, and you could be spiritual inside.
Absolutely. And that's the key to everything. And it gives you a sense of belonging. It gives you roots.
Roots.
Otherwise, you feel like a balloon on a string that could just blow away at any moment. And having that in my life has been a tremendous help to me.
Carlo, what we got to do with Jeffrey is we got to get this all over our sites. And any of the listeners out there, we're starting to get a really good following. A lot of people follow us. And the thing is that I want them to pick up this book. I'm going to buy it. And
I'm
we'll
gonna buy it
actually
too.
pay fucking retail.
That
Buy
would
it.
be very nice of you. And if they want, they can come to my site. ComedyMattersTV.com is my website. It's got all information about comedy, all the shows I've been on, plus spirituality and healing, my cure for stuttering, which is, I'm so happy that you let me talk about that, because there's a lot of people out there who need to know that you don't have to stutter for your whole life, that you can be helped. In this country alone, there's 3 million people that stutter, and it affects their families. And so it's good for them to know that.
You
And
know what?
all that
I
information
got to be
is up
honest
there.
with you. When I was younger, 10, 11 years old, I had a stuttering problem. You know,
Really?
you know how I got rid of it?
How?
I jerked off twice a day.
See, I
And
never
then-
thought
and
of
then I
that
got- I got rid
as
of
a
it.
cure.
Well, now you have your book to write next.
Only kidding, of course. You know, again, laughter heals a lot of things.
Heals a lot of things. It's very amazing, and I'm glad that I thank you for having me on.
Well, no,
and
thank
be
you
able
for
to
coming,
talk about
man.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right, Jeffrey, thank you so much. Right, we covered a lot. We've
I
covered a
think
lot
we
of great
did.
stories.
Yeah.
We'll have everyone check out your website. You got great interviews from Montreal, and
Oh yeah, and they're all up there on the website. So,
Right.
and on YouTube, it's youtube.com/Gurian News Network, Gurian Gurian News Network, and you'll see interviews with Jimmy Fallon and everybody in comedy. So, and on Twitter and Instagram, it's
And-
at Jeffrey Gurian.
And I want to welcome everyone to Jeffrey's 80th birthday next week at the China Club.
90th birthday, right? Danny's reopening it for my 90th
Danny
birthday.
Aiello, Danny Aiello, our dear friend.
Our dear
we gotta
friend
get Danny
Aiello,
on.
who's a great comedy person, by the way. You know that he was the bouncer at the Improv? That's how he got into comedy?
I remember we were at the Adam's Apple when I first met him. He had a play on Broadway called Knockout. Do you remember that?
I don't
Knockout?
remember that, but
Yeah.
I wrote a play that was in honor of Chuck Zito called
Chuck is
A
he's
Punch in the Face.
Yeah, I was with Chuck just that. We were at the
Well,
Atlantic
Chuck
City.
came to my opening of the play. It was when he knocked out Jean-Claude Van Damme at Scores. I wrote this play called A Punch in the Face, but I called Chuck before I put it, it was on page 6, but you never use Chuck's name without his permission. So I
Chuck
called
is
him up
Chuck
first.
is a dear friend of
We
me.
can edit this out.
He'll be on our show, but he was just
He's a wonderful person.
He was just in Atlantic City with me at the new Hard Rock Casino
Oh,
Hotel.
really? What a great guy,
Love
right?
Chuck. Yep.
What a great guy.
Yep.
Amazing.
All right, Carlo.
All right, Jeffrey, thanks so much. It's
very
great hearing
welcome.
all these wonderful stories about your life in comedy and your new book. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
You could
all
do a
five
wrap
join your
up?
thing.
Thank you for having
And-
me. This
Yep.
was really a lot
Thank
of fun,
you.
man.
Thank you
All right.
very, very
so
much.
everyone, please follow us. We're on One Tough Podcast on Twitter. We're One Tough Podcast on YouTube. Bo is at Bo Deedle on Twitter and at The Real Bo Deedle on Instagram. And you can find me at CJ Coutinho on all platforms. And we are still giving away copies of Bo's book, signed copies, to one reviewer every week. And this week's winner is Tammy. Tammy will be sending this out ASAP. Please, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, email us at onetoughpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeffrey. Have a great day.
Thanks so
Bye-bye.
much. You too.